Okay. Um, wow, it's dark. Sorry, I'm trying to see how it's going. Also, sorry if there's ash or anything on my shirt, face. I was at the forge today, so, yeah. This is, well, my Rubric project. I have it copied down on paper, so if you see me having paper, that's what it is, so I don't have to keep looking back at, the, project. Okay, let's get started. I'm doing my project over ranking Kanye's features. If you don't know what a feature is, it's when a guest artist comes in on a song and, helps out, sings along, has their own verse, something like that. So yeah, I'm ranking the features. Just forward, I'm going to list all the albums I'm going to use. Most of them are from Life of Pablo and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And if you see the project, that'll be abbreviated to MBDTF, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So yeah, that's big. And also Graduation and Yay. Another thing is I want to explain what I'm doing for, judging them. So, for thesis, I'm going with kind of presence. Can I see the featured artist? Is it clear? Can I be able to easily find it? Stuff like that. For evidence and commentary, it's how the feature affects the mood. And finally, for sophistication, it's actually sophistication of the feature itself. Usually it's one that has a verse or something. So yeah, I guess we should just get started with thesis. So for the first one, it's Pusha T in Runaway, which is off the album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I picked this one as a 0 for thesis because when I first listened to it, I didn't know there was a featured artist at all. I couldn't tell. To me, it sounded just like it was Kanye and no one else. So, I have to give this a 0 on thesis because there's no presence. Until I looked it up trying to find, good songs for this project, I didn't even know there was a feature, and I've been listening to this song for about a year now. So, yeah, there's no presence, it blends right in, and I didn't even know. So it wasn't that hard, it was incredibly hard to even notice. So, yeah, that's the 0. Next, we're going to the 1. Now for the 1, I did Monster, Nicki Minaj's verse, also off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I picked this one because when for a 1, because immediately when I heard this, I was like, wow, that's Nicki Minaj. And for a person who never listens to Nicki Minaj, that's a pretty big deal. So, its presence is easily noticeable, it's incredibly easy to find, and for that reason, I give it a 1. Also, there's many other reasons why this is good. I'm not going to go into them because a preface, just none of these. I'm saying nothing is bad here. No features are bad, no songs are bad, that's all up to taste. So yeah, don't fight me. Yes, so that's pretty much thesis. For the 0, I had, oh shoot, what was it? Well, I had a 0 and a 1. Okay, so next to the evidence and commentary. And this is how it kind of affects the vibe of the song. Okay, for the 0, I'm doing Devil in a New Dress. Rick Ross's verse, it's also off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And that's because it comes in after a minute guitar solo and doesn't really change the mood of the song at all. It kind of sticks with it, changes it maybe so small that I could barely notice it. So, yeah, it doesn't or barely change the mood of the song, so I have to give it a 0 because it doesn't affect it, really. And for the 1, I'm giving The Weeknd's verse off of FML, off the album Life of Pablo. That is because The Weeknd in this only sings the chorus. He changes the mood once when he comes into the chorus, and then it goes back down to Kanye, and then he affects it again when he comes in the chorus, but he affects it the same way each time. So, for that reason, that it does affect it, but it doesn't affect it again, and it only affects it really one time, and then comes back with the same stuff, I have to give it a 1. So, for the 2, I'm doing Sampha's verse on St. Pablo, which is the Life of Pablo album as well. So I give this because he creates a new theme completely when he comes in with the chorus. Unlike the last song, which just changes the theme of the song a tiny bit, this one introduces a whole new theme in a religious context. It states, when you look up at the church in the night sky, looking at God, wondering if he's going to say hi, you can see it adds a religious context that wasn't in the song before. So, yeah, it's a really, it introduces a theme. But it also does something else. If just introducing a theme, that would probably still give it maybe a high 2. I mean, maybe a high 1. But it also does a completely different thing where it affects the mood of the song at the end. He controls basically the last minute. He's got the bridge, the final verse, and the chorus, all to himself singing. So, with this in mind, you can see that at the end, he changes the mood of the song. He brings it down, which is something, unlike the Rick Ross verse, doesn't do, even if it's the final verse. This brings it down and effectively ends the song pretty well, and that's just because of Sampha's verse and final chorus. So, for the 3, we're going off of a 070, 070 shake, however it's pronounced. I couldn't find it on the internet. Off of Ghost Town, off the album Yay. I give this because, much like the last one, it introduces a theme and closes out the song, but then you have to look at how it works within the song. And this this feature does so well, because at the beginning of the song, there is another feature by Kid Cudi, which is kind of sad, kind of depressing, melancholy, somber. And then when 070 Shake comes in, she introduces this this mania theme. And it's introducing a theme, but the theme doesn't really... It creates a juxtaposition in the song, which makes it incredibly interesting to listen to from an analysis point of view. So it creates this juxtaposition between the two themes established in the song. One, that she established, and secondly, she closes the whole thing out. So that's really useful, and one of the main reasons why this gets a 3. So we go on to the 4. And that is Mos Def. I might have to admit, I'm a little biased. Mos Def is probably my favorite rapper ever. But on Good Night from Graduation, I give this a 4 because he does everything to affect the mood of the song. He sets up the mood of the song. He changes it and evolves it throughout the song, and he closes it out, which is more than any other song he's done. He establishes themes, he affects the mood, and evolves it throughout the song, and closes it. This is because he sings both the intro, the outro, and the chorus, and has a verse of his own. So, it's really interesting to listen to because he basically controls the whole mood of the song, and Kanye just kind of tags along. So, for that reason, this one gets a 4 on how it affects the vibe or the mood of the song. So, now we go to our last one, and that's Sophistication. And for Sophistication, we have to really look at the writing of the features themselves. So, we'll start with the 0, like we always do, because it'd be weird if we start with 1. I'm doing Designer's kind of feature on Father Stretch My Hands Part 2 off of Life of Pablo. I give this feature a 0 because if you listen to it, it's an exact copy of his designer's hit Panda, which was released a year before this album. So it shows no creativity, no sophistication on its own as a feature, because it's directly a copy and paste. And you could say that this is a sample, but he's listed as a featured artist himself. So, in directly copying something he's already written, in the context of the song, it shows no sophistication, no creativity whatsoever. So for that reason, I have to give it a 0. Next, we go on to Kendrick Lamar's verse on No More Parties in LA. Also off of Life of Pablo. I give this a 1 on sophistication because it is unique, sophisticated, literarily written well as a poem, because it's all lyrics are. Fight me on that. So yeah, I give this a 1 because, well, it's unique. It contains allusions towards famous Indian people that I can't really it's a really long thing to explain. Allusions to a lot of things, to the 90s, Korean anarchy thing that happened there, I think. That's the best way I can explain it in 5 seconds. And most impressively, and then it's got a really interesting rhyme scheme where the end of the lines rhyme with each other, and then the middle of the lines rhyme with each other, and then sometimes the middle of the line rhymes with the end of the line, or the line doesn't rhyme with anything, but it still fits, and then it has a rhyme later on. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics with his rhyme scheme that he's using, but most importantly and most impressively, I think, is when he rhymes English with Japanese, which I've tried to do kind of in the very limited Spanish I know, and I know how difficult it is to try to rhyme 2 different languages and keep the same meter and also have them rhyme well. So for that reason, I give this a 1, because it's sophisticated. Yeah. Sorry if it's dark still. I just got back. My fault. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's the ranking Kanye's features project, and well, yeah, that's it. So hope this was a good 12-13 minutes, and I'll see you next project.